Okay, let's talk about PDF tips. Okay, PDFs. Let's see how PDFs can work for us. Couple of things. We can look at the background image. You can have a background image to your PDFs, which is pretty handy because that if you can basically put a background image on your PDFs, it enables you to not have to worry about embedding those images in and where are they going to be located. Managing PDFs and just the way that they often squash into a page can be a bit complicated. So having a PDF background image can enable you to have logos and have text that's not going to change in your PDF in the right spot every time. Goes right to the edge, so you don't have to worry about any bleeding on the edges and stuff, which is pretty handy. Formatting pages with tables is important because that enables you to push information up or down as you need to. The easiest formatting is actually to have no tables and just to have the text and preferably have it centered or at least all consistent, and not to try and put some content on the right and some content on the left, but to try and keep everything in a consistent format. That's a good way to go. So it's about layout considerations. Page breaks, which was working but stopped working, unfortunately, is currently in beta. I'm just trying to work it out. We're actually doing a big upgrade to PDF generation coming up at the next release. But this is the code that you would use, and I can talk you through that code once you're into using that. That's if you're going to create multi-page documents and you want page break at particular points. And I'll give you a sneak preview into the future. So we've got, like I say, a lot of functionality coming up in the next release, which is pretty exciting. And it's taking a long time to test. So we want to make sure we get it right, though, before we send it out. Okay. Oh, so background images. I've got a funky way of spelling background there. Maybe that's a Kiwi way of spelling background. So background images, make sure they're A4 landscape. Oh, sorry, landscape. That's wrong, too. It should be portrait there. Okay, let me quickly correct that because I don't want you guys accidentally doing a landscape A4s. So, and I'll fix up my spelling of background there. I was obviously quite excited when I wrote that word. Okay, so A4 portrait size, send to support@coursesales.com for upload. So we'll upload that for you. And we've got to try and keep the size under 1 megabyte. The smaller the better. The smaller it is, the more likely you're not going to run into issues around generating of the PDFs. And we use PNG format and with no transparency. This is just if you happen to be getting these options. And the file name you send to us is the contentid.png. So that's how we know which content, and this is the content for the PDF, and that's how we know which PDF which content goes for. So you can have different background images depending on the PDF that you're creating, which can be pretty handy because some of them look differently. Okay, some layout considerations. Consider the height of the page. Consider the fact that you do have it in the portrait format, and the changing of the width versus the change in height. Because one of the things you're doing is you're basically using a mail merge of fields that you don't know quite what it's going to be. How long is somebody's name, for example? How long is the name of a course? So what happens is as this content gets too wide, it wraps around and knocks the content below down. And so you have to be careful, be aware that you need some white space in there. You need some space to space things out, but you might also need to consider limitations on how much information you can include on these certificates. So being able to even restrict maybe the font sizes. And in some cases, at the very least, it might look like it's a lot of white space, but at the very most, it looks like things are a bit crammed in. Somewhere in the middle is the happy medium when it comes to working out format limitations and width, etc. So we've got some really useful guides on the internet, on our web pages. So feel free to go and have a look at that. Really helpful. Just type PDF into the search bar. Here's an example of a PDF that can be generated using Course Sales. I just want to show you a few things here. Just this content here, all this here, that is all from the background image. Okay, that's all from the background image, and in fact, all of this is from the background image as well, because all of this was constant. The only stuff that changed was the stuff in the middle. So all we had to do is to make sure that there was enough space and that we were printing stuff in the right place to be able to get a nicely formatted statement of attainment. So like I say, make sure that you try and put everything in a reasonable place, and where you can, move things down into the background image. And if you need to get a professional designer to do this, we've got some wonderful designers we use, and they do a great job of making this stuff look just perfect. And they can tell you font sizes and font colors and all those sorts of things. I'll just clear my annotations. Let's move on. Okay, so let's give you a sneak preview into the future. So soon you're going to have the ability to have an unlimited list of paired values. Now, where this becomes relevant is if you, for example, want to list a series of payments that a student might need to have. You can actually specify a date, specify an amount, a date, an amount, a date, an amount. And this is a really clever way of being able to include effectively an unlimited number of options there for the student, which is pretty cool. Also, that's particularly relevant for those organizations who are CRICOS, who need to send off a letter and send off a payment plan. We're going to be using Chrome soon to create a PDF. So you're going to be able to use all the wonderful things you can find in HTML, such as the definition of footers, the definition of page numbers, all those sorts of things. You'll soon be able to do that. And we're going to be using Chrome. That'll be in a beta test for a little while. You can also it'll have CSS support, which is cascading style sheets for those technically oriented people, which will be able to hide and show things on the PDF, which is pretty exciting. We've also got some basic logic formula, which is pretty cool. This is going to enable you to either include or not include certain things based on the presence of a field. Now, this might sound like it blows you away and it's complicated, but actually it's going to enable us to do some pretty cool things that if someone, for example, chooses not to, I don't know, not to receive a workbook or some sort of, not to receive some sort of extra product, then you'll be able to send a different message to them. So that's pretty handy. So the basic logic formula is going to enable a lot of clever things to be done within PDFs. It's really going to be just limited to your imagination. It's also going to improve the number of layout options. There's going to be a lot more layout options available to you. Those layout options are going to enable you to maybe have a landscape. So maybe landscape is going to come up as being an option at different sizes of paper as well. So there's a big option. There's a big possibility there of being able to do some pretty cool things with layouts in PDFs.